Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a clown doll inspired by this sketch, this primary colored sketch right here that I did. To make this doll, I used an Ever After High doll head and a random pre-customized Monster High doll. Yeah, they are both secondhand. They're both in really bad quality, as you can see. I think this is Goldilocks, or whatever her name is. But taking her head off was pretty easy. I heated it up with a hair dryer just to make it squishy. And next was to remove the hair. I think this is the greasiest, sticky hair I have ever seen on a doll. All that glue seepage. Oh, it's so gross. Oh my gosh. Oh, gross.
Owen's trash.
Get off my fingers! Next was to remove all the plugs from her hair. When I tell you this was the most disgusting ever, this was the most disgusting thing ever. But I figured it out. It was pretty gross, but I figured it out eventually. Oh my gosh, it's finally over. Oh, I'm sticky. In the trash this goes now. Hopefully, some acetone will take care of the main stickiness, but I'll also give it a quick wash with warm water and soap. Finally, she is all clean and I can finally get to painting. For the body, I'm not going to be painting the whole thing because she's mostly going to be covered in her outfit anyway, but for the hands, I'm going to paint them. I originally painted them yellow like her skin, which I also did for the neck peg because that's going to be showing, but I ended up changing them back to white to make them look more like gloves, and I think it looks way better. You might be wondering why I haven't put the head on yet. I'm doing it after I painted the body just to make sure if I had painted the head before, then putting it back on the net peg would have been a disaster. It would have gone everywhere. I've had troubles with it in the past. But finally, once her head is on her body, I can paint it a layer of white or even a few layers, and then I go over with the yellow. Once everything on her body is finally painted, it's time to go right into the face. I went in with first a white layer just to make it look like she had painted her face, which is why I painted her head yellow in the first place, because I want to have that perfect clown makeup. Well, not perfect, because nothing's perfect, but as good as I could get it. Once the white was dry, I went in with my watercolor pencils. Sorry if it's a little hard to see, I was using yellow. And I started sketching out her face. This was really fun to do. I'm not being sarcastic, even if I sound like it. It was actually pretty fun to do. The sketching was a little difficult because I couldn't erase very well on the paint for some reason. But I eventually figured out all the planning. Now it's time for the pastels. I am using this random photo I saw on Pinterest as a reference for the placement, because I literally have no idea. And I think it looks pretty good. It doesn't look exactly the same, which is what I was hoping for, but it looks like something kind of cool. I only used primary colors. I used just yellow, red, a little bit of pink, and blue for the eyeshadow, I believe. Yes. I did have some trouble layering the pastel, so I ended up having to go in with paint later, which is fine, I'm used to it. But I was a little bit frustrated with that. Finally pulling out my paints again, I start with her lips. I did a bright red. I actually did a two-tone lip, I believe, and it changes throughout the video a little bit. And I also did her nose, and I also did some little swirls on her cheeks. For her eyebrows, I just did little blobs. It was pretty easy. And then for her eyes, I made sure to make them pretty big so you could see them. And I didn't go in with a pure white, just for them to stand out a little bit. Also for the white highlights later. Ooh. So it's more like a gray blue. And I decided to do some shading, and I like it. It looks very graphic. It looks really cool. I really like it. And for the rest of the eyeshadow and eye makeup, I decided to go in with more paint because the pastels weren't really showing, but I think it looks really cool in the end. You're probably wondering why I made her eyes green. It's because none of the other colors looked good. But I really like it. And finally, I went in with some highlights on the face and some little eye shines. Okay, it's time for the hair. In my sketch, I did have the character with red hair and yellow and blue streaks, but I think I'm just gonna go straight with red. I have these three contestants. This is like a bright, I want to say neon, but it's not. This is a deeper one. I've used this for previous dolls. And this one's more orangey. Yeah. I'm thinking I want to do a little bit of a mixture, maybe between these two. I'm thinking this is a little bit too dark. Yeah. Originally I was gonna like test each of them, like, oh, which one's the best? No, I think I'm just gonna go with these two blended together in some way. Yeah, but now it is time to do that. Weirdly, this was the easiest part of the project. No, probably the face was, but that's because I enjoyed it the most. But for convenience, this was the fastest for some reason. I don't know. I did fine. It looks fine in the end. I'm happy with it. I did kind of mess up on her hair a little bit on the length. I wish it was longer, but that's fine. Whatever. I actually had about the perfect amount of wefts I made. I make the wefts same every time. Just glue them on a random piece of plastic after ironing them and brushing them out and ironing them, I should say, because that's the order you do. And I didn't really record this part because it takes a long time, but I just glued it on her head, and I didn't record it because it takes a long time, and I don't know what I'm doing. It's just pinning and gluing, and oh my gosh. But eventually, I have this in the pigtails. I have the bangs. It's perfect. Now it's time to actually style it. To style it, I went with curls. I like curls. If it looks like I don't know what I'm doing here, it's because I don't. I don't know what I'm doing. Please send help. Thoughts and prayers welcome. I did eventually figure it out, but in the beginning I'm like, how do I do this? I just have this random metal curling thing, and I take my iron and I curl it. I kind of messed up on the first few ones, but I eventually figure it out, don't worry. And now her ponytails, pigtails are all curled up. I think it looks great. It looks fabulous. I love it. It's there. It's stuck. Now for the bangs. I knew that I wanted to have tendrils in the front, and then I didn't know what else to do. I think I did have to do these a couple of times too. This was frustrating to do. It's also hard to do on camera for some reason. But I eventually figured it out. Don't worry, I figured it out. As you can see, I'm having struggles with the angles. But it's okay. I figured it out in the end. We're okay. For the bangs, I think I was originally going to do a blunt cut or like a point thing, but I don't really know what I did. I sort of just did like a weird curve to just frame the face. And I think it looks really nice. I did try to curl it in the beginning to have like an inward flip because I thought I was going to do the sort of blunt cut, but I didn't do that. So I don't know why I'm showing this footage and talking about it, but I'm going to leave it in. Finally, I figured out what I was doing with the hair. Her hairs look very 70 to me. I think it's the bangs. But once that's all finished, it's time to go onto the clothes. But I'm going to start with the shoes. For the shoes, I'm using these random Monster High shoes. And I'm just sort of going to use the sole for them for my purposes. So I'm cutting off all the bone detailing. I'll leave I guess it's brains. That's what's on the rest. I'm not really sure. But I cut the majority off. Once I've stuck the shoes to her feet, I glue on pieces of fabric to basically make the rest of the shoe. I did not think this was going to work as well as it did. But wait, there's more. Once it was all dry, I took it off the doll and I glued the excess piece onto the shoe. Once that was glued on, I took a needle and thread and sewed up all the way of the shoe, just to make it closed. It looks great, mostly. It looks fine. because you could also see the red, I decided to paint over that with just some regular white acrylic paint. Time to make some pom-poms. I cannot explain how I did this. I randomly figured it out. I basically cut some random pieces of yarn, cut them to length, brushed them out. I didn't iron them. I wanted them to stay fluffy. And then I took the 3 colors and I tied them together with a piece of thread in the middle. And then I sort of shaped it and I trimmed it. I don't know how this worked. I was sort of guessing at how to do this, but I figured it out and I made 5. I made 5 of them for the whole costume. And I glued the 2 first ones to the shoes. I couldn't decide what colors I wanted, so I did all of them. But now, it's time for the hardest part. The part that I dreaded the most. The making of the outfit. It looks great in the end. It's just, it took forever to do. And for some reason, I decided to pattern out the costume first. I've never, made a prototype pattern. And it worked fine. The prototype worked fine, so I didn't have to do any other adjustments. So I don't really know why I did it. It was kind of a waste of time in the end. I guess I wanted to see, because I was using multiple colors of fabric, I knew I was going to use stripes. Maybe that's why? Not sure. But it looks fine in the end. I'll save it. I'll save this particular one maybe for a future doll. I don't have any solid colors of fabrics, but I have these and they're the colors I want. Just have patterns on them, so I'm gonna use that. Also, I just noticed, but the blue has the other colors, and I'm not mad about it. I like that. It's now settling in how long this is taking me. Oh my god! This took forever. It actually felt faster than the prototype for some reason, despite being a lot more work. For some reason, I decided to do stripes, and I decided to make little ruffles at the ends of the sleeves and where the legs are, the leg holes. All I remember during this process is watching the season finale of The Owl House. So maybe that's why it went so fast. But I figured it out. It did fray in a couple places after I flipped it out. But after a couple more accessories to the outfit, the doll is done. Meet Piper. That's a name that I randomly came up with on the spot. She's my little clown girl. I love her. She definitely does not look like Baby from the sister location from Five Nights at Freddy's. So don't tell me she does, because I'm trying not to think about it. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!